Yo, check it out, man. Anime Hanashi is what you're watching. The podcast that you won't be dropping. That's listed everywhere, causing drama. From the city of Compton to Akihabara. Talking about anime, it ain't no stress. The podcast is sure to impress. With me, Lewis, and the rest of the crew. Sit back, relax, and we'll show you how we do. Oh, yeah.
Hello and welcome to the 4th episode of Anime Hanashi. Remember, you can support the podcast by visiting animehanashi.com and getting future episodes early. But anyway, enjoy the episode. Today's guests on Anime Hanashi are RC Anime and Vadarf. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Hey, I'm RC Anime, and that's all you need to know.
Are we not introducing... Oh, we're only introducing Matt, okay.
I'm Vadarf.
Yes. Vadarf isn't important because he barely has any subs anyway. Who cares?
Oh, okay. I'll just be quiet.
Or we can just wait till you have like 1,000 subscribers. Just wait in the podcast.
Then you can also get a Patreon then.
Oh yeah, you can start Patreon right now, and then we'll continue the podcast when your Patreon reaches $300 a month. But more importantly, do you guys want to talk about your fancy smancy new podcast?
Oh well, yeah. So I believe all of us are a cast of this podcast. Then the new podcast, Film Savages, which is basically a new film podcast, and in that podcast, we will have specific topics and we'll debate about them. We'll have crazy antics and we'll basically be savages bantering about live action films or anime films, just films in general. It's a nice step away from anime if you ever get bored of hearing us talk about fan service and cute anime girls. So we can talk about Stanley Kubrick or Nolan or The Fourth Wall, whatnot.
Or Marvel.
Yeah.
Adam, you do it. Fuck Marvel.
Oh god. Is there going to be a podcast? Is episode 1 just going to be called Film Savages Episode 1, the Marvel discussion? That's what it should be. That'd be the best campaign, advertisement campaign there. But yeah, people can subscribe to that. I'll put that in the description with you guys' YouTube channel links, and you guys can go check them out. So now the introductions are done, I guess we'll hop into the first topic. Who's got the most interesting topic? I know Matt's got a pretty interesting one.
Fine, so my topic is how Marvel is pretty shit. No, I'm kidding. My topic is that I guess recently I just completed Cowboy Bebop, and it was a pretty good show. And one question that I find really interesting in the show is that they keep on claiming that Bebop is its own genre, and I was always curious as to what they mean when they say Bebop is its own genre, and I kind of can grasp what they're talking about because Bebop is sort of an anthology series surrounding these 4 main characters that surpass multiple genres and multiple manipulations in certain genres. You will have the horror genre mixed in with the comedy genre, film noir mixed in with blaxploitation, I think that's what you call it, and
yeah, some western stuff in there as well.
Yeah, and you can throw in western, throw in sci-fi, occasional space opera, occasional political themes. It's just basically an anthology series tying in a lot of things, and that's kind of what Bebop is. And Bebop can only be the show that is Bebop because of its characters.
Yeah, Bebop is also, like, in its traditional sense, is a genre of jazz where it's kind of like a mixture of lots of things. So that is kind of the best way to describe Cowboy Bebop, is a mixture of loads of different styles, loads of different genres, and loads of different stories and stuff like that into one lovely mix of lots of different stuff.
I've yet seen Watanabe's other stuff, such as Champloo and Kids on the Slope, but Bebop certainly is my favorite from him right now after seeing that in Zanki no Terror.
Yeah, Bebop's my favorite. Although a lot of people do prefer Samurai Champloo. I don't think it's as good. It's still a really interesting show. It's like the same thing where they splice a lot of genres together. Like, it's like old samurai kind of Edo period stuff mixed in with like hip hop. Not just music, but the whole kind of style of hip hop. They kind of mix those together, which is a really interesting mix. But it doesn't quite have the impact Cowboy Bebop does.
Yeah, definitely. I've actually seen the first episode of Samurai Champloo, and the cuts are interesting because it's like when the DJ is playing around with his music, there's these record scratches, especially in hip hop, and Samurai Champloo uses that for jarring cuts, and I find that really intriguing. It's an interesting directing choice.
Yeah, there just isn't like the kind of emotional level that Cowboy Bebop has. Like, Cowboy Bebop gets really emotional, especially towards the end. There's a lot of really harrowing scenes, but in Champloo it's a lot more lighthearted, but I guess a lot of people prefer it. Though I haven't seen many people say they prefer Zanki no Terror or Kids on the Slope, or he's done some other work on various shorts and stuff like that.
Yeah, I barely hear anyone talk about Kids on the Slope.
Yeah. Well, it's weird because Kids on the Slope is kind of the same thing. It's almost more ambitious than the other two because it actually tries like an actual story instead of little episodic stories, but it is kind of underwhelming compared to Bebop and Champloo because it is just, in the end of the day, it's just a kind of high school romance which you can only do so much with.
Oh, yeah, so it's one of those.
I did like the music in Kids on the Slope though. That was jazz as well, but it was like kind of classic jazz. It was really good. Like, Bebop's kind of like space jazz, where it's like jazz mixed with like lots of kind of little futuristic things, whereas Kids on the Slope's just kind of just classic jazz, really.
Well, that's the thing about Watanabe, though. I feel like he's one of the only few auteurs in the anime industry, because anime directors, not a lot of style, not a lot of individualism with them. There's only a handful, and whenever there is one, such as Watanabe or Ikuhara or even Miyazaki, it's always much more interesting to watch stuff by them than, say, a random show that's coming out. It may have an interesting premise, but it may lack any form of auteur style.
Yeah.
And that's
any individuality.
what I feel like anime lacks occasionally.
Yeah, I have noticed that the director's role in anime is a lot less important than other mediums.
Yeah.
Like in film, like if you're the director, you're the number one guy. Like, you decide what happens. You kind of you make the stamp on your movie. But in anime, like, a director can go like completely unnoticed in some series. Like, I could watch a series and I could say that could have been any of the directors I've ever watched before.
Yeah, sometimes directors can be completely way more unpredictable in anime. Like, say, the director of Katana Gatari is the same guy who made School Days and Date Alive.
Yeah.
Like, what?
There are some kind of lesser known ones, like Rei Matsumoto, who's doing Kekai Sensen this season and done Kyousou Giga.
Yeah.
She's got a really unique style. There's Kenji Nakamura, who's done Mononoke, Gatchman Crowds. So there are some people, but it's just like it's I guess with the exception of maybe Tetsuo Araki, there's the bigger shows tend not to have as much directing style.
There's another one that I keep my eye on. I don't remember her name off the top of my head, but she did Sakuraso and Hana Yamata and whatnot. I love her directing style. It's one of my favorites.
It would be nice to see like directors take on bigger jobs, like some of the bigger anime like Sword Art Online or whatever like that. You don't really see that much. Even Attack on Titan didn't. Although Tetsuo Araki is kind of like, his shows are recognizable. They're kind of recognizable not because of his directing style, but just kind of the kind of choices he makes in his anime. Or I guess you could say it's a directing style in itself to make something that would appeal to the mainstream. I guess that in itself is a directing skill. Might not be critically acclaimed, but I guess if you're going for numbers only, then shows like Attack on Titan stuff are going to be the most successful in terms of sales and stuff.
Yeah.
When something like, say, Ping Pong from last year, like, averaged like 3,000 Blu-rays, but then it also won the award for Best Anime of the Year at Tokyo Film Festival.
Or Aku no Hana that came out the year before.
Yeah. Yeah, that was an interesting one. Do you guys want to talk about it? Have you guys all watched it?
I saw it.
I've seen it.
Yeah, I have seen it. I didn't watch it when it was airing, which I kind of regret. I think that would have been interesting to watch airing, because I was like in the anime community, like on Twitter and stuff like that, on YouTube when it was airing, but I just didn't watch it, so I could just see everybody talking about it.
I remember what I first thought when I learned about it. I was like, what is this, like, the style? Because I had never seen or heard of it before, and it was the premise itself was like, this doesn't sound interesting, but the style was like the what's it called, rotoscoping I've not seen before personally before I saw that, so I was like, oh, this might be interesting, but I didn't get around to watching it until I think like 6 months after it was done, and then I watched it, and okay, it was definitely an experience. To this day, I don't know if I enjoyed it, but I think for me, I thought it was one of the best anime I've seen, in how it just is so different from other ones, and how it dealt with the characters felt like more real, I want to say.
Yeah, they were extremely well written characters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I certainly didn't enjoy it myself. Like, it was quite hard to watch. Not in that like it was hard to watch the next episode. It was just quite,
It's because the atmosphere. It's just so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's really, really distasteful in a sense in which you really do not want to be in a world like that. You really do not want to be under that situation and around. I forgot her name. The one with glasses.
Nakamura.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think so.
Really, it's just her presence is so.
Yeah.
In a way, it carries out a bit of that disgusting part of humanity, and it does it so well that it really makes you not want to be around it. But it's a great show from a directing standpoint. The rotoscoping is honestly really shit. I don't know if they made it very bad on purpose. I know they made it look like how it looked like on purpose. I don't know if they made the rotoscoping itself really bad though.
Rotoscoping is like almost never used as like the primary use of animation. Normally rotoscoping will be put into little bits where it's kind of hard to show movement, say a character's running or whatever, they'll use rotoscoping, but Akuma no Hana chose to do it for its whole series, which was again just I guess adding to the uncomfort, adding to the kind of making the viewer not at ease, kind of uneasing the viewer and making the viewer feel uncomfortable. And I definitely done a really good job at doing that, because it did make me feel uncomfortable anyway. Same with the characters, the voice acting and the writing was and the situations they were put into, it was great. I mean, great as in well done, but not great to watch.
Honestly, I actually like the animation for some reason.
Well, yeah, you can like the animation,
I liked it as well.
but it's like I like the animation in Ping Pong. I really like how the art style looks, but the animation in Ping Pong is honestly really terrible.
Honestly, yeah, that's a weird thing, because I liked the animation in Akuma no Hana despite its quality, but with Ping Pong, while I liked its animation for like it fit the show, I felt, and was very unique, I didn't like or enjoy the animation style as much as I did with Akuma no Hana for some reason.
Well, that's all based on personal preferences, so
I guess.
Yeah, when you have more experimental art styles like this, it's which is a really hard thing to do. Like, people underestimate, like, people think that having less animation, less frames, less production time, production quality, whatever, would be easier, when in fact it's a lot harder, because you're having to make impactful scenes with less materials. You have less resources to make a scene be emotionally impacting, where Ping Pong uses. But Masaaki Yuasa is really the master at using the resources he has, because none of his anime really have that much production quality behind them. He doesn't have many people working for them. Obviously, his stuff rarely sells anything. Like, his Blu-ray sales literally don't rank, and it's not hard to make a show rank. So it's like almost impossible for him to find funding. Like, Kick Heart was a Kickstarter, so he had to like fan fund that. So, but even then, even when he doesn't have much resources, he's the master at making those little resources into really kind of impactful and immersive scenes, which is really, really impressive. I don't think people talk about that enough.
Oh yeah, but he's definitely receiving recognition though. Especially since he actually got the opportunity to direct an episode of Adventure Time, which I thought was pretty surprising. Yeah,
he does a lot of little he done an episode of Space Dandy as well. He does a lot of little like guest appearances and stuff. I think he is becoming like one of those kind of like Wes Anderson things, where he's kind of respected in the industry, and people will kind of fund him in the knowledge that he knows that you're not going to make that much money out of his shows, but you'll get kind of different kind of critical values from them. Although Tatami Galaxy didn't sell too badly, and Ping Pong sold I think 3,000. Tatami Galaxy sold about 5,000 averaged. And he's got a movie coming out this year, so I guess we'll just have to see how that goes.
I've only ever seen Ping Pong.
I'd recommend watching the Tatami Galaxy.
It's weird because everybody always has their like a different favorite. Like, some people like the Tatami Galaxy, some people like Kaiba, some people like Mind Game. I'd recommend just going through like his whole library, because it's pretty easy to go through, since all of his stuff is either shorts, movies, or 12 episode series.
I mean, Ping Pong was, in my opinion, at first it was like it's okay, I don't know, like it took a while for me to finally, I feel, for it not just to ramp up, for me to like get it and get where all the pieces were lining up to fit in. And by the ending, it was like brilliant. I felt it moved me in a way that not most anime or other things in general have. Not like in terms of like, oh, it's so sad, but like I just saw like a wonderful take on these characters and life itself and things that people go. I don't know how to explain it exactly, but
yeah, it's kind of like attachment. Yeah, and it's the same with Tatami Galaxy. It's something that doesn't necessarily build up gradually. There's a big, I won't spoil anything, but it is the kind of similar kind of big kind of payoff in the end, and maybe even more so than Ping Pong. Basically, if you haven't watched this podcast before, this podcast is both a mix of discussion and opportunities to score points, and there'll be a winner at the end. So we're going to play our first game here. This is a new game I haven't played before. It's called Mal Reviews, and basically I'm going to read out 3 Mal reviews from My Anime List, the website, and literally anybody can make a Mal review. Like, you can just go on the website, write your review on Sword Art Online, give it a 10 out of 10 and post it, and I'll be able to find it. And so I'm going to read them out, and I'm going to leave out like the actual, obviously, the name of the series and the name of the characters, but you guys are going to have to guess what anime it's from, and you feel free to guess while I'm reading.
Okay.
Alright.
Okay, so this is the first review.
Should be good.
This review was a 10 out of 10.
Oh boy.
This was a perfect score for this person. Alright, okay, so this is actually me reading it now. Okay, well, at first I saw my brother watching this series. At first I was like, what is this series? Then I heard about this thing, so I decided to check it out. I read the biography and was amazed at the plot. I'm not really a fan of action, but this series is not only about fighting. No, it's not about Sword Art Online.
I just had to guess it.
But I mean, that it could well be about Sword Art Online, because I mean, really, this could be about any of the big shows, to be honest. But I'll continue. You will not like this if you don't know the real story of it. Oh, this is so hard to read because it's so poorly written. Some of my classmates are saying this sucks, and I'm saying that you don't know the real story. That's why you hate it. This is less a review and more kind of experience, but well, I'll continue on. Each of the characters has their own talents, dreams, and sad pasts, especially character X, and character X. Sometimes I'm annoyed that there are tons of characters in the story.
Future Diary?
No.
One Piece?
No, but that's close. There's another paragraph here.
Naruto.
Oh, it is, yeah, it's Naruto.
Best show ever, right?
The last sentence is pretty funny. I gave all 10 because the story is great, especially the art. I don't really think the art's part of the story.
No, but
all the characters has unique looks.
Of Naruto. You don't know the real story.
Well, maybe we don't. Maybe Naruto's really good. We just don't know the real story.
I know we don't know the story of several hundred chapters of the manga. It's a good story. I
think the last sentence of this oh, this could be hard to read. Is the last sentence of this paragraph is so funny. The sentence just says enjoyment, comma. Sometimes my mother would ask me if I'm crazy or something. I've been laughing, talking, crying in front of a computer. Overall, 10 out of 10 outstanding. So yeah, that's a point to Matt for guessing Naruto. Yeah, that was a fantastic review.
I wish I was as good as that.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking of just copying this, and I'm just thinking of like just reading this out in my review.
No,
I'm just saying it's my review of Naruto. The next one again is a pretty standard anime, so you guys might guess it pretty quickly. There's 3, by the way, 3 points available here. Okay, the review starts off with, "This is my own opinion, but I think the storyline is almost perfect in this anime. Several events relate to the main one, and gives it a bit more depth, perception, understanding. The anime features a lot of action, talking, but the music during the battles is what makes this anime really shine out. It may not seem much, but you feel the music just flow through you when the characters fight against the boss."
Sword Art Online?
Yeah,
it really was that easy?
You said pretty standard. I mean, the boss. What else would there be?
Yeah, I guess I probably should have left that plot point out. But the music flows through you when you fight the boss. So let's see what the funny.
Crossing lines, right?
there's almost a different story each episode, which may or not appeal to you guys, but at the least it's entertaining to
storyline
watch.
is completely episodic.
Some comedy and heavy romance are present throughout this anime, as well as very emotional stories. They're great.
Asuna and Kirito.
Let's see.
Best
Let's see
anime
the.
couple ever.
Okay, here we go. I'll just to conclude this review, I'll just read the last sentence. I would not recommend that you read the manga first, as it would take all the fun out of watching it in the first time.
It's not even based off of manga. It's not. It's not.
There isn't even a. Is there a Sword Art Online manga like even after the anime?
There might be, but
There are light novels.
Yeah, it's based off of a light novel.
Yeah,
unless
I know. That's weird.
Unless this guy thinks it's the same thing, then
Yeah. Or maybe he just read some random manga
or maybe,
and thought, oh, this is different from the anime.
Maybe we just don't know the real story behind Sword Art Online.
But yeah, maybe we're missing out on all these shows. So this last show here isn't as obvious. It's not, Attack on Titan, sort of like Naruto. I had to dig deep for this one, but this is pretty good. This one. Okay, so it starts off as this anime is really, oh my god, this anime is so sad. So with like 6 O's. I just finished watching this anime. Okay, I'm fans of character X. I'm so sobbing badly seeing the sad scene. The soundtrack really touched me so much. I feel the pain, love, laughing, and more. This anime is the best of my thus far. Whatever that means. I'm guessing he means my life, which is a pretty bold statement to make. Making me start to draw character X and character X. I think I'm falling in love with character X. Lol. With 2D XD face. You guys got any ideas?
Anohana?
No. That's a good one though.
I'd say Angel Beats, but not mainstream, you said.
Yeah, it could be Angel Beats, but no. But really, I love the way character X smile. Her smile like angel, inspiration, spirited, freedom. And well, yes, if she real, I could marry her, lol. Okay, it's too much. And I found I have new taste of music. So inspirational anime. This is gonna give it away here, guys. I love classical music.
Oh boy.
Yuri in April.
Yes, that
was really easy once you said that. There's only 2 anime about that.
Yeah.
I could have just.
You said dig deep, so I didn't even think of Yuri in April.
I just like how he
obscure.
included the fact that he started wanting to draw the 2 characters in his review. It's great. Let's see, what was the final? This was the final. Oh yeah, the final sentence of this review was, and so much quotes that makes me well, hell yeah. I'm so pumped, ha 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 ha.
What?
So that was another fantastic review.
What did he even say? So many quotes, I'm pumped, yeah.
Let's see, I'll try and read this.
It's so quotable,
and
right?
so much quotes with a capital Q, that make me well, hell yeah. I'm so pump up, ha 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 ha.
I know English is pretty hard.
And so much quotes that make me well, hell yeah. Well, I don't even know what he's trying to say there. And so much quotes that make me well, hell yeah.
Does he mean
I'm so pump.
So many quotes that make me whelp? Hell yeah.
No. He's trying to say, well, so many like great quotable lines from the show that just make me well, hell yeah. Like he doesn't finish the sentence, he just goes to
he's
hell
so
yeah.
blown away by the amount of quotes in this series that he can't even finish a sentence. And then he just says, I'm so pump.
He can't wait for that OVA.
Oh, they were so good. So what are the points after that?
I have
Matt
no
guess
for a while. Matt's winning 3-0. Yes, that was pretty hard to read, to be honest. Both laughing at like in the way they're written, these reviews as well. Like people just go randomly into capital letters, and people just stop sentences like when they feel like it. Just throw commas in randomly. The last sentence of that last review there, I might put that in like the top of the description of this review. It's quite an inspirational quote, and so much quotes that make me well, hell yeah.
I think that's a great quote right there. I'm gonna put that down in my next
Very
review.
original.
I'm gonna get that tattooed on my arm.
It's gonna be my life motto from now on.
When I have an IMDb page, it's gonna be on there.
But yeah, if you guys ever make it as like really famous directors, and you get an interview and someone says, "What was your inspiration as an upcoming director?" Just say a Yuri in April review from my anime list. That'll give me inspiration.
It's just the quotes were like, well, hell yeah, pumped.
Quotes make me well.
One day, like, one of us will make a Your Lie in April live action adaptation, and one of the characters will just say that at the end of the film.
That'll be the last thing in the show. The closing line of the film will just be
that's the lie in April.
The lie he told. Right, okay, so the end of that game, Matt is winning 3-0, but don't worry, there are plenty more points to be won. So basically, I haven't been watching much anime recently because like the last month has been like the final month of university, so it's like can't really watch too much anime. But I have watched a few anime. Just by coincidence, they're similar types of anime. And I started off with Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei, which is a Studio Shaft comedy show. It's quite odd though. It's not really like any of their other stuff. It's quite dark. It's quite kind of like, how to describe it? It's quite unique. I mean, the comedy's not great. I don't normally like comedy anime, but I can appreciate a good comedy anime. And Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei is really just like this, like each character has, say there's like, it's a classroom of characters, say there's 8 characters. Each character has a joke, and then they just say that joke over and over again in different orders. Like one character's joke will be that she's a foreigner, and she'll just say the same joke over and over again. Some character's joke will be that she's a hikikomori, and they'll just say that joke over and over again. And it's just kind of like a recycling of those same jokes, which I guess isn't necessarily bad, but it isn't, it isn't groundbreaking comedy. So by like episode like 5 or 6, I'd had enough. But it's like a Shaft show, obviously, so the visuals are really unique. Visuals are really nice. There's a lot of that kind of like Shaft stuff where they use like weird patterns and for backgrounds and stuff like that. So it's probably worth watching if you're a really big comedy fan. It's probably worth watching just for the okay comedy and the really nice art style. And then I started another series, which started airing in 2012, but I'd never heard anybody talking about it. And it's called Humanity Has Declined, or Humanity is Declining, or whatever.
The one with the bleeding toes?
Yeah, that's in the first episode.
Oh yeah, that one. I tried that, but I couldn't get into it.
Yeah, it's such a, like, I've watched the first 3 episodes, and the first 2, the third episode was different, but the first 2 episodes were like, they were almost like surreal in that the way it was kind of told and the way the jokes were like timed and stuff like that. It's kind of like a black comedy in that it doesn't, I mean, the jokes aren't necessarily jokes, which is why it's not considered a comedy anime, but it is kind of making fun of, kind of quite serious topics and stuff like that. So I would,
satire.
I guess it's kind of like a satirical thing. But episode 3 was about fan fiction, which was like, I was like, I hate when comedy anime make jokes about anime. I just don't like, because it's so many people have done that before, and it's just like there's so many, like every season there's at least 2 or 3 anime that are just satirical anime about the anime industry and about like otaku culture and like, oh, we like to play video games. How funny is that?
I mean, depends on the on how they do it. Like sometimes it's lazy usually, but sometimes a nice one will come along, and those can be pretty funny if done.
Yeah, you get some pretty good ones. Like the Going Home Club was pretty funny. But for the majority of the time, it gets pretty dull. And Humanity Has Declined. I hope, like, I've only watched 3 episodes. I hope it doesn't go down the route of just making fun of otaku jokes, because the first 2 episodes were really interesting. It was like they went to this kind of weird, like, surreal factory that was made of like floating cubes everywhere. It was like nobody worked there, and then I won't spoil what happened in the end. Although it's not like a fantastic thing, but it is quite a funny ending in episode 2. But it's like nobody works there, and it's kind of like people start to disappear, and it's quite surreal. It's like, this is actually quite a smart anime. They're actually doing this atmosphere pretty well. So I don't know, what did you guys think of it? I think, have you guys both watched it, did you say? Or
no, I've only heard of it.
2 episodes.
2 episodes, yeah. But you've seen the scene with the bread ripping himself open.
Yeah, it's pretty popular around.
That's kind of like, that scene is kind of that's very much the rest of the show. So if you found that funny, it was like quite a dark thing. Obviously, it was like, it starts with quite a cute thing, and then the cute thing will do a really dark thing. Like the whole show is really colourful, and the whole show is about like fairies running about the place and stuff. But then the fairies will just like say like the darkest things, and they'll just say the most depressing stuff. So I guess if you're into that kind of
oh yeah, that reminds me.
humor.
It's like a video series on YouTube. It's called "Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared." Adam, you know of it.
Wait, what is it called again?
Don't Hook Me, I'm Scared.
Oh, is it like an animated series?
No, it's like it's like these sort of Muppet-like puppets on these YouTube videos. You can search it up. It's just called Don't Hook Me, I'm Scared. In the beginning, it looks like another form of Sesame Street and whatnot. And you got these, I guess you could use the word cute little puppets playing around, and then it gets darker and darker real fast. There's this sense of surrealism, and it's just very, very disturbing because it redelivers the nostalgia of when you were a little kid and you used to watch Barney and Friends and Sesame Street or Thomas the Tank Engine, and it just destroys all of that really subtly.
Yeah, like hooks you in thinking
it's great.
Oh, this is going to be a nice, like, cute scene.
I love it so much.
Yeah, I don't know why. I like that kind of like style of comedy quite well. But like I said, that they only really done that for episode 1 too. So I hope that they continue that for the whole series. But I don't know, since episode 3 wasn't the same. It was completely different for some reason.
Well, the problem with comedy series is that, I mean, that style of comedy is really interesting because it's really unique. Not many people have really done it, and not many people really base their entire series or films on that type of comedy. But the problem with comedy television series as a whole is that sometimes I feel like they can get easily repetitive because what kind of jokes can you make? I mean, there are specific kind of jokes you can throw out, and for a movie maybe it'll be fine because it's only half an hour long, or hour and a half long. But for a television series, you have 12 episodes, 24 episodes, and it keeps on throwing out the same things. It's like Recon. Have anyone seen Recon, the show that's airing currently? It's this one show about like ghosts. And it's just throwing the exact same joke the entire... I've only seen the first episode, and it just threw the exact same joke.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I did watch the... Yeah, I watched the first episode, yeah. Yeah, just done exactly that. Just, okay, we've established one joke, in that there's ghosts, and they kind of, like, fiddle around with people who are in the real life, and the people who are in the real life don't see it. Like, that's funny the first time. Kind of funny the second time, but when you've got 20 minutes, like the joke literally lasts 20 seconds, and they just redo that for the whole episode, and I presume the whole of the second episode and the third episode, and it's like the jokes lose their novelty really quickly.
Pretty much. Or if you want to make a series that is, say, making fun of otaku culture, or like you want to be a really meta series, Saikano was a meta series, and it was fine in the beginning, but then it immediately became what it was making fun of, which is a problem with shows that are making fun of a specific genre of shows, which was the problem with Saikano.
Yeah, that happens all. I remember that happened for a show. I think it was from 2013 or last year. Outbreak Company.
Oh yeah, I watched that.
Yeah, Outbreak Company, not to the extent of Saikano, but yeah.
No, but I felt it happened there too, and I felt it happened in a lot of other shows, especially with comedy.
Yeah, because they kind of like, let's make fun of the fact that in anime there's always this character type, and in anime this conclusion always happens, and like that's okay. That's like, I don't want to say it's good writing to make fun of that because it has all been done before, and it's like there's only so much you can do with that premise because it's really just a very simple premise. It's kind of hard to build a whole show around that and then stop your characters from actually just ending up being that joke in the end, which does happen to pretty much every single anime that tries to be satirical.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm just trying to think, like, comedy is like it's really hard, especially with anime. Anime seems to very rarely get comedy right. Really only once every few, maybe once or twice a year we get a decent comedy show, but...
Yeah, especially recently. I've just been, not laughing at a lot of the recent comedies come out in recent years. Yeah, definitely. It's just, I don't know.
I feel like anime has just been recycling a lot of comedic gags recently.
Yeah.
I mean, you can over-exaggerate things, and it's funny, but we've seen it over and over again. There are so many tropes that we've seen before, so, I mean, a joke dies down easily, so if you keep on seeing it, it's not going to have the same impact.
Especially when that joke isn't necessarily extremely funny to start with. It's like the joke in Reikan, even the first time, although, okay, that's a wee bit funny, it's not like I laughed. It's not like I laughed out loud. Very few anime have actually made me laugh out loud, because they're just kind of... The only time they'd ever do that if it's like a pun. That's the kind of highest form of comedy anime seem to grasp. is the kind of pun that seems to be the funniest thing that they ever do, which is not very funny to start off with.
But there are those anime comedy ones out there that are actually really good and rely more on my kind of humor, which is character humor. And they're very, very hard to find, but I know my favorite anime of all time is one of those anime. It's Ouran High School Host Club.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. The Going Home Club is similar as well. I think that handles it pretty well. And the Tatami Galaxy has a lot of really good comedy in it that makes fun of a lot of things.
There's also another one that I love that's comedy that does it really, really well in my opinion. That I think it's personally one of the best comedy anime I've seen, but it's like not many people have seen it. It's very under the radar, and because of that, it didn't get a second season, despite teasing it at the end of the first, which bugged me. But it's called Bimbo Gamiga.
Oh, I think I've heard of that actually.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
It's kind of impossible to like have watched like all the comedy anime though, because so many more comedy anime come out than I watch anime. So even if I spent like all my time just watching comedy anime, I'd never get to the end of it. There's so many of them. I think my favorite comedy anime is Kuuchuu Buranko, probably. I think if I had to pick one comedy anime that's kind of genre specific, because a lot of my favorite comedy anime aren't comedy anime in the fact that they aren't like, this is a comedy anime, it's just they have really good comedy in it. Like the Tatami Galaxy doesn't have comedy as one of its genres, but it still has some of the best jokes.
Yeah, now that I think of it,
I see that for a lot of shows.
Yeah, not a lot of comedy-centric shows I would say I'm a fan of. Maybe Baku to Test was one that I really enjoyed, but I saw that a long time ago, so I don't know if I feel the same way now.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was comedy anime. We'll go on to our second game, which is a quicker game and is simple. I've played it. Pretty sure Matt's played it on the one he was on. It's just guess the year. Did you play this last time you were on?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and
basically,
I failed terribly, but let's go.
Well, you were playing against Glenn.
I know, that's the problem. Anyone playing against Glenn would lose horribly.
So so basically, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. I say an anime or a second season of an anime, blah blah blah. You guys get to like have one guess each at when it started airing. So okay, we're going to start with Arslan Senkai was airing this season. It's one of the more popular shows this season. And it is an adaptation of a manga and also a novel series, but it was already adapted into an OVA quite a while ago. So my question is, when did that original OVA, called The Heroic Legend of Arslan or whatever it was called, when did that start airing?
Ugh, fuck.
1994.
It's not a bad guess. It's not correct, but it's not a bad guess.
1999.
No, it's too far. It's too ahead. I'll give you guys one guess again each.
1993.
Nope. Matt, do you want to guess?
1995.
No, you guys were all wrong. It was 1991.
I was gonna get there.
It was like a 5-episode OVA that actually aired over like 4 years. That was a pretty hard one. I wasn't expecting anyone to get it. I thought I'd throw that in just in case.
I actually read about it recently and I saw the date. I just could not remember what it was exactly.
Yeah, 1991, and I think it aired until 1994 or 1995. So that's probably where you're getting the 1994. That's when it finished airing. So yeah, that's a pretty tricky one. I have chosen particularly tricky ones, so it's still free all. The next one, again, a fairly tricky one, but if you've watched a particular video of mine, you should know it. That's the original Astro Boy TV series.
1954.
That's a good guess.
1963.
Oh, yep, 1963. Bang on.
Fuck. Why did I think 54?
But I think 1954 was, I think, a date related to the manga. I don't know if the manga ended there or started there, or I think 1954 is a date, but it wasn't the date of the starting the anime, so it's 3-1. You've pulled a point back.
I got one.
Okay, so this is the third one. There's a point available for this. I'm not looking for the year this thing started. I'm looking for the month that it started airing, and that is the Anipod episode 1.
July.
July. You're going for July? Matt, what do you want to guess?
August.
It was July. Wow, that's a good guess. Or did you know that off by heart? Have you got all the dates memorized of the Anipod episodes?
It just sounded right.
I'm the one who started the Anipod. This doesn't make any sense.
It obviously doesn't mean as much as to you.
Yeah.
that first episode isn't as ingrained into your mind.
I still have a nice place in my heart for Anipod.
Really?
Especially
July?
episode 1.
That early?
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. July 2014.
I kind of remember because I remember it happened right after my first review, if I remember correctly. And I think I did my first review in June, so...
Yeah. So we must have started it in summer. I can't remember. Yeah, it must be in summer. Almost a year ago. That's crazy. Rest in peace, Anipod. So yeah, so the score is currently 3-2 to Matt. So there's the game is anybody's to win now. We're going to play game 3 in a bit, but I guess what's your topic for the next topic?
Well, I'm not very good at thinking of topics in general, but to talk about just what I've been watching recently, I've been catching up on all the winter shows because I wait for all the anime to end, and then I just marathon them all because it's easier for me to deal with.
That's a pretty good topic, because normally when we talk about seasonal, we talk about the current seasonal on this podcast, and then by the time the podcast gets onto YouTube, it's like everything we said just out of date, and it's like the shows have ended that we're talking about first impressions. So that's a winter season's pretty good thing to talk about.
So yeah, I'm watching Death Parade with my mom, actually. I told her about it and she was interested, so we're watching that together. We've watched, I think, 4 or 5 episodes. Okay. And it's pretty good so far. Yeah.
The first few episodes are good, and then it does take like a little dip, or almost like a little break for a few episodes where it doesn't do that much serious stuff, and then I think it's around episode 8, and then from on there, like from 8 onwards, it's like absolutely fantastic. Like the best episodes of the series are like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I won't spoil anything, but like there's some really good episodes, like especially at the end. Like I don't know why, but for some reason they don't like the middle of the series isn't that serious. Like it's more light-hearted stuff, but towards the end it gets really good. So
I felt like the beginning was already pretty like heavy, at least for like except maybe episode 3. So maybe a break would be nice, especially if like right after the break there's a whole big 4 or 5 episode block of heaviness again.
Yeah, that's the thing, yeah, because you don't want to go heavy like completely for the whole series, because that's the thing about Death Parade is that they chose, and I think it was a really interesting decision, that they chose to not only make it an episodic series, but to actually have little bits of development for the world, and like almost make it like a full like long running series. Like a lot of episodic stuff just goes like one episode, then episode 2, and then episode 3, and they're all like not connected, but I think it was a really interesting decision to connect everything up in Death Parade.
So far my favorite episode is 4, I think, which was the one with the boy, the gamer, and
and
the
his
actress.
Mother, yeah, and he was...
No, she wasn't his mother.
Yeah, but he had like some conflict with his... Well, not his... Was it his mother? It was like his stepmother or something?
Yeah, stepmother.
Yeah, that was a good episode.
I mean, I've only seen up to that one, so yeah, but so far it's my favorite.
Yeah, it's a good series. Did you watch that, Matt?
No, not yet.
You should definitely watch it. It's my favorite show of the year. So I think it's my favorite show of the year so far by quite a bit as well.
How about we talk about something that Matt has seen, like Yuri Kuma?
Yeah, we could talk about Yuri Kuma. We actually talked about like our first impressions of Yuri Kuma, didn't we?
Yeah.
Was that with you, Matt? Yeah.
Did we talk about Yuri Kuma?
Yeah, I think we did.
Yeah, you did. You mentioned it.
Or was that the first episode?
No, I
no, because Glenn talked about it. Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
it was like,
Glenn obviously probably talked about it.
At that point, I think that we were like at episode maybe 2 or 3. Like we were really early on in the series. So let's talk about that.
We can say like now we can like update our thoughts since it's over and we've all 3 seen it.
I think Yuri Kuma has got a lot better after the 3rd episode. From episode 4 and on, it got a lot better. A little repetitive in like 7 or 8, but other than that, I believe it's a solid series. It's definitely Ikuhara's weakest show. Utena and Penguin Drum are a lot better, but it still has the style that I'm in love with, and I feel that it's a interesting series. The only problem is that it has Ikuhara's weakest characters, and it's his most intricate show, so it becomes overly convoluted because occasionally it overuses symbolism to the point on which, what are you trying to get at? I feel like I know what they're getting at. I'm actually currently writing an analysis on that. But
that'll be out in another year.
Yeah, of course. That there's just a lot of there's a lot of ideas in the show, and I feel if such Ikuhara maybe perhaps didn't make some stuff obvious enough, or some stuff clear enough, or some stuff consistent enough. But other than that, it's still overall one of the better shows that have aired this year so far.
Yeah, definitely. I think that exact point about the trying too much stuff maybe slowed the series down around the midpoint. Like there was the they spent like the whole episode on this kind of like flashback to like an old like fairy tale type episode, and it was like that would have worked really well if they had had more episodes and more focus to kind of bring that into the story. But I felt like a lot of the stuff that they did bring up was not necessarily wasted, but not put to its full potential, maybe forgotten a little bit.
Yeah,
which is I think what he had a lot more time to do in his other shows.
I haven't seen his other. I mean, I've only watched 2 episodes of Penguin Drum so far. I haven't seen Utena, but just from what I've seen of like clips of Utena and what I've seen of Penguin Drum and Yuri Kuma, I'd say also Yuri Kuma is probably his like by far his most like out there show and weirdest.
Yeah, I mean I can see that from some standpoints.
Utena is I believe Utena is more out there.
Yeah.
Like when you get to the third half of Utena,
I think at face value it's not, but when
the third
with the more detailed it is.
The last third of Utena, it gets really really what's a good word? Really liberal in terms of it just goes
Pretty
all out.
there.
Yuri Kuma does the same, but not to the extent as I think Utena does. And even Penguin Drum, at points, Penguin Drum gets really, really crazy, especially in the second half.
Yeah, the first half of Penguin Drum's pretty conservative, and then the second half just kind of goes all out. And
Yeah.
I think that kind of all out was where he based Yuri Kuma off. It's just like, instead of building up to this kind of crazy climax where everything goes mad, let's just like start in a pretty crazy world, and the viewer doesn't really know anything. If everything feels confusing right from the get-go, instead of building up a slow story like in Penguin Drum. Like the first half is pretty slow. It's very slice of life. It's very
tame.
Not much happening. Yeah, and then the second half is like, okay, now we've built you up, like boom, punch to the face. Whereas Yuri Kuma kind of like it almost starts as like this crazy thing, which means it doesn't get too crazy towards the end. So I guess that could looked at as a good thing, but then could looked at as a not so good thing.
Yeah.
I personally am not like a huge fan of Ikuhara's style. It's just not really like for me, but I respect it a lot, and despite that, I actually did enjoy Yuri Kuma starting around the middle to the end of the show.
No, yeah,
it was a lot. It was a lot of fun,
That's where
and actually now that I've watched, now that I've actually watched Yuri Kuma, I'm now restarting Penguin Drum because I watched the first episode like a year ago or less or something, and I didn't really like it at all. But now after watching and sitting through all of Yuri Kuma, I actually rewatched the first episode and I actually enjoyed it this time. And now I watched the second, and now hopefully one of these days I'll actually get around to watching the rest with Matt one day.
Yeah,
it's my favorite show. So it's Penguin Drum.
The season or the year?
No, I was saying Penguin Drum was
okay.
my favorite show of all time so far. Yuri Kuma currently is probably my favorite show of the year, but I haven't seen Death Parade yet, so I should watch.
It's my number 2. It's my number 2 TV series of the year.
Definitely a lot better than anything that's airing this
Winter,
season.
yeah, there was really not that much in winter.
Yeah, winter's normally the weakest season in terms of like I keep an average for like all the scores, and winter tends to be the lowest. Although this season currently airing is lower than last season's winter season. There's really nothing of standout, whereas last season we had Yuri Kuma and Death Parade, which were 2 unique standout shows. This season we really only have a few kind of interesting shows, and some of those interesting shows I don't want to speak too soon, but haven't been doing so well after 2 or 3 episodes. So I think last season is probably going to end up being better than this season.
I mean, I can't say since I wait till everything's over before I start watching, but the only show that I'm really, really excited to watch this season, spring, is Snafu 2 when it finally is done airing, because I loved the first one.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I watched a few episodes when it aired, but I can't really remember it. It's kind of hard to remember all the romance and not romance, comedy shows and stuff like that. Especially when you only watch like 1 or 2 episodes. Because that's what I try to do. It's probably, I don't know, probably isn't the best thing to do. I normally I kind of like watch the first episode of everything, and then if I feel like it, I'll watch the second episode of everything, and then I'll just, as if I don't feel like watching something, I'll just drop it. So like it's kind of like a natural process, which really isn't the best thing to do, but in terms of like discussing it with people, which is what I enjoy, it's the only way to do it really. And I don't have time to watch everything, so that'd be impossible.
I mean, the way I do it basically means I can't discuss currently airing shows with people, and by the time I watch them, everyone's already done discussing them.
Right, yeah.
So,
and in the anime community, like, seasonal's one of like the biggest topics, which is kind of a shame because it's like there's so much better stuff to talk about. Like, imagine if everybody just talked about older stuff that's already been. Imagine if everybody just cherry picked their favorite shows from like, the last 40 years. I think we'd have much better anime community, but
I still think like a lot of people, I'm sure a lot of people are talking about the Tatami Galaxy more than when it was airing.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
I think there are some shows that grow in popularity and in discussion as they age, because
absolutely, yeah,
when they first air, they're either just ahead of their time or they just never garnered the attention. I mean, I'm sure I've watched plenty of shows in which, even though I was watching the season they were airing, I never paid attention to that show in particular. But then I went back and I watched it, and it became my favorite show of the season. Like, such as Akuma no Hana was one of them.
You can, like that happens even with way older shows. Like, just to link it back to the beginning of podcast, Cowboy Bebop, I feel, only grows in popularity as the years go on.
Yeah, Cowboy Bebop didn't do very well in Japan, but it did.
Yeah, it was
amazingly
got cancelled
well
on TV.
America.
Mm-hmm. Same with the original Gundam. The original Gundam was a massive flop when it came out. Got cancelled on TV, and then years later they brought it back. But it's like that kind of happens with the classics. Even like movies like 2001: Space Odyssey was like nobody went to see it when it came out. People were just like, this is terrible, this is like one of the worst movies. And then as the years went by, it's kind of the same with a lot of Stanley Kubrick's movies.
Only one Oscar nomination for 2001.
And
that also happened with like Citizen Kane, which is talked up as like one of the best films ever.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much most of the classics you can look at, people will when they came out. When you look at the reception when they came out, people dismissed them. Even like recently, like Ping Pong. If you look, it's always interesting to look back at if you just type into YouTube like blah 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 first impressions, and it'll have all these like vlogger videos about their impressions of them just watching the first episode when it aired. And it's like some of the stuff for Ping Pong is like ridiculous. It's like people are saying it's like the next Akuma no Hana, it's like terrible and stuff, and then a year later it's like at the top of most people's lists for best anime of the year. So it is interesting.
It just shows how quick people are to jump on a bandwagon of hate and whatnot.
Yeah, and I guess some shows are kind of made to watch as a one-er, some shows are made to watch as episodic and stuff like that. Of course, Evangelion is the same again. It got slated when it was airing. People are saying it was terrible and stuff like that.
And now look at Ano, that's all he does.
Yeah. We'll play the third game, the winner, the one that's going to decide it. So it's free to just now. I'll make it interesting. I'll say this one it's going to be worth 2 points. So basically, it's basically the role-playing game. So if you guys don't know what it is, each of the contenders contestants will pick a character, and they'll play as that character in a situation without saying the character's name or just kind of like, saying something that would just give it away. They have to kind of role play as a character and make me guess who the character is, and the person with the best, not the best impression, but the most subtle impression will win the 2 points. So it's all up for grabs now. Whoever wins this round wins the game. So the situation is that one character will be a person running a shop. The other person will be an underage person trying to buy alcohol. So who wants to be the shopkeeper and who wants to be the
I'll be either.
Customer?
I'll be either.
If we're playing the underage person, does that mean the character we play has to be underage?
No, we could just say that the law is that you have to be 100 years old, unless your character is older than 100. In a dystopian future where you're not allowed to buy alcohol unless you're 100. So yeah, you guys can pick a role.
Alright, Adam, you pick whoever, and I'll just be the other person.
I guess I'll be buying.
Okay.
Hello, shopkeep. I'm in here to buy some alcohol of yours.
Hi. I have to see your ID.
Do you not see it right here in front of your very eyes? It is my identification, clearly stating that I am above the required age of consent to buy this alcohol here.
Well, I have been through several galaxies, and I can see that that is a fake ID.
What? Are you telling me that my ID, that I have took the very, very troubling process of going to the DMV for, is a fake? No, I'm afraid this must be some plot against me.
I'm sorry, but I have a devil inside me as well, and I have done some bad stuff throughout my time, and I can see that it is a fake ID because I have done the exact same thing.
I think I might know who Matt is, but continue this Oscar-winning acting performance.
A devil inside thee, you say? I don't know anything of what you're talking about, but that sounds fairly suspicious. I think the organization might be near.
Oh, I think I know who Adam is. I think I know.
Yeah. No, Adam is too. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think that one gave it away there. Can I take a guess at both your characters?
All right.
Okay. Sure. Oh, this is gonna be so hard to decide. Okay, I guess if I get you guys both right, we'll have to do a performance test. But I think Adam is the guy from Steins Gate. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
Okabe. Yeah. And is Matt? Are you Spike from Cowboy Bebop?
No, fuck it.
Oh, you're not?
No.
Are you a character from Cowboy Bebop?
No, I'm not.
At all? Oh, no.
Oh.
Okay, well, I have no idea then. I guess the points go to Adam then.
God damn it. I should have chosen a more simpler character.
Who was your
I
character?
was trying to be Watashi from the Tatami Galaxy.
Ah, that's an extremely hard character to
I
play.
should have just said Watashi instead of I. That would have made it pretty obvious.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an extremely hard character. If I had guessed that, though, that would have been pretty crazy. I guess
the other options I had in my head were Spike and Slain, but I decided to go with Okabe because I felt I could do him better than the other two.
That was a good Okabe. That was kind of his personality was showing through, definitely.
I'm obviously
That
not
was a
good
good
at role
performance.
playing.
I think that's the glory of this game, is that role playing anime characters that don't speak in English, so we don't really know how to act like as their characters the best. And then at the same time, we try to throw in little hints towards who the character is. It's great.
I think the rule of this podcast now is just that RC anime never wins.
Yeah, that's like, 2 defeats in a row.
How the hell? Why?
Let's just make that a thing.
Not how. I can't. No. How do I? Well, I lost against Adam. I guess I can put that on my resume.
We have a winner, and another podcast is finished. So thank you guys for coming on Anime Hanashi episode 4.